Ladies and gentlemen, I'm really delighted to join this summit here today. Let me also start by saying thank you to the Economist for helping me and others to keep the spotlight on such a crucial issue. Every day in my role as an EU Commissioner for the Environment, I am reminded of the foundational importance of water. But I'm also confronted with the massive danger facing our societies, economies, and natural world. Just last week, I was in Cyprus, and the most pressing question in Cyprus is water scarcity. 2025 was the driest year in Cyprus since 1901. And recently, I met the Chinese officials to discuss droughts, flooding, and water pollution threatening the EU and China. Extreme heat waves, severe droughts, and destructive floods cost EU a staggering 43 billion euros last summer, expected to soar to 129 billion euros by 2029. And over the past years, I have traveled around the world, from Cairo to Japan to New York, building partnership for water security. So, water resilience is a personal and political priority for me. And these discussions have highlighted two key points. First, water security is an issue that connects us all, at all levels, globally and locally, economically, politically, and culturally. And second, philosophers and thinkers all over the world and throughout our history, from Thales to Francis Bacon, were right when they said that water was and is the center of all things. Agriculture, innovation and industry, manufacturing, healthcare, security and defense, none of these functions without water. We see it very clearly in the farming sector. Today, nearly 40% of all the world's cropland face water scarcity. And some of the most productive and critical agriculture regions, and including in the Mediterranean, are already facing crop losses. In fact, a 40-year study on cocoa farming in the Ivory Coast and Ghana found that increased water stress led to cocoa yield reduction for up to 37%. And what about electricity? Well, 65% of the EU's electricity production still relies on water for cooling. Semiconductors, which drives everything from fridges to phones and to fire jets. An average ship manufacturing facility can use 10 million gallons of ultra-pure water per day. And how about the most basic of human rights, our health? Already, more than 1,000 children under 5 die every day from illness caused by unsafe water and sanitation. And a recent UK government report highlighted exactly these dangers and warned that the collapse of global ecosystem was a direct threat to the water cycle, food systems, national security and prosperity. And we can all imagine an insecure future where our citizens are parched and our fields run dry and our homes are dark and our factories are closed and our industry stalls. The point here is not to fill you with doom, even though it sounds like that. It is to demonstrate to just how critical, fundamentally, definitely, we are reliant on water. And to highlight how, as a recent UN report outlined, we are approaching water bankruptcy. So, the bad news are stark, but the good news are simple. We have the answers at our fingertips. We start by rethinking the economics of water and by recognizing its true value. And we continue with science and innovation, with public and private investments, and with cooperation. The EU is determined to play its part. Our new water resilience strategy is a roadmap to a more sustainable water future. It aims to restore and protect the water cycle from source to sea. It aims to build a water-smart economy by promoting efficiency, innovation and investments, and also to ensure clean and affordable water for all. And it's backed by the European Investment Bank, which have invested 15 billion euros between 2025 and 2027 to tackle Europe's water crisis. Our strategy also includes a strong international dimension because global challenges are immense. Worldwide water-related disasters displaced 40 million people, and inflicted more than 480 billion euros in damages in 2024. So we will continue working with partners to develop shared solutions to close the financial gap in the water sector and to scale up investments in nature-based solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, our strategy is just a starting point for a long-term and collective effort that requires actions at all levels. And it is the very core that lies the idea that investing in water security is not a cost or a burden. It is an insurance policy for our future prosperity. It is an investment in resilience, and it is the surest path to competitive industries, to robust food systems, and to thriving, peaceful, healthy societies. So the EU will continue to prioritize water resilience, to build partnership, and to invest in a sustainable future with UK and others. For people everywhere and for the generations to come, for our economies and our security, and for the health of our planet. Thank you.
Thank you very much. At The Economist, we're very keen on sort of what can we learn from other countries, or who does this well, whether it's in education or healthcare or any field really. And so I wondered what your kind of Europe-wide perspective on that was for water. You talked about nature-based solutions. Which are the most interesting regions that are doing the sort of the things that other parts of the world or other parts of Europe could be looking at and learning from?
No, thank you. Thank you for doing this. As I mean, we need to put water high on the agenda, and I think you said if we have taken water for granted too long, and that is not the case anymore. And one thing that has struck me in my work in doing this is that all of Europe is at risk. And of course, I'm coming from also Sweden and UK. You have also different challenges compared to the south of Europe. As I said in my speech, I was in Cyprus, which have totally different challenges than others. So that is, I mean, one important thing to say, that we all have challenges. They may differ, but of course we need to help each other and also use best practices. And also we need to scale up innovations. But of course, I've been traveling a lot and seen both challenges, but also positive stories. If you take the countries around the Mediterranean, of course, they are in scarcity, really severe scarcity. And some parts of, actually 70% of Spain is at risk of desertification. Some of it is even irreversible. But Murcia is a region in south of Spain, which is one of the top in Europe to actually reuse water.
Right.
I think they're over 90% of reusing water. And here I think we all need to be better on efficiency of water, and that includes reuse. I think we all need to have another mindset when it comes to reusing water. So that's one thing. Then we have seen that is on the quantity of water, because that is one leg, so to say. The other leg is, of course, quality of water. And I know many of you are working with exactly that, water management. And here again, I think we have techniques in many places that cleans the water, and we have cities that are really smart on taking care of the water, both when it comes to the management, but also cleaning. So here is also good examples around Europe, and we try to point out different cities every year to share best practices, but also highlight the good examples.
And the examples of the sorts of things that can be done if you have an integrated approach. But we do come back to this essentially tension, don't we? That we're trying to, at this point, help strategic industries, and at the same time, we want to have, environmental rules that that ensure that water use is sustainable. How do you manage that tension? Because there are certain places where, if you want to open a lithium mine because Europe wants to be less dependent on other parts of the world for battery manufacturing or something like that, how do you I think you have this idea of the overriding public interest allows you to have exemptions to some things, but basically how do you strike that balance? Because really a lot of these challenges come down to that, don't they?
No, and absolutely, and I think in the former discussions also where Reynolds was a little bit. One of the things that is coming up to me in all my discussions is that the permitting question. It takes too long.
Yeah.
It's of many reasons, and we need to tackle that, because in this world that we are in, of course, the Commission, we are focusing on security, we are focusing on competitiveness.
And that's sometimes in tension, isn't it, with the environmental requirements?
Could be, of course, but it's also tension being reliant on other parts of the world that we are, totally dependent, and we need to focus on our own security and our own autonomy in one and resilience. So doing that, and we need those metals that you talk about this also to do the green transition. So that's why we also need to see into that all our legislations when it comes to environment, are they fit for purpose? We are doing a stress test on that. We have a lot of regulations on water. What I saw when I put forward the water resilience strategy, we need to be better in implementing them and enforcing them in the member states and regions and locals. So that's what we are doing. But of course, at the same time, see that there are regulations that maybe also need to be adjusted, and here we have the question on the critical materials that we need for our transition, need for our green transition, that we also need to balance. So it's absolutely a balancing act on having all these different angles in when it comes to decision making. But I'm very mindful that we cannot lower our ambition when it comes to clean water, for example, or environment, because in my view, and I think that is also this summit's put on the spot, that it is not a contradiction between being competitive and doing the green transition. It's the same, there's two sides of the same coin. So we need to do both, and I'm totally convinced that we can do that, because we know, you have the examples, our industries are dependent on healthy nature, healthy soils, clean water, and water as such. So we need to focus on both.
You talked about boosting investment. Are there specific approaches you're taking to de-risking cross-water border projects to attract more institutional investors? What can you do to make water a more attractive sector to invest in?
That's a very good question. I get some frustration, to be honest, sometimes, because we are in an energy crisis, as you know, and we are trying to tackle that.
Well, and there's a lot of enthusiasm for investing in energy projects. There's less enthusiasm.
Exactly, and that is my frustration, because as I tried to say in my speech, energy, of course, extremely important. We will need more energy, but we also are dependent on water. And to be honest, even we cannot produce more water. Water is like finite. This is the resources we have. We need to treat it well in a smarter way. So I'm trying to actually do that, and that's why I'm so happy that you have this summit, because we need to put more political and discussions about water. If you go to, some of us maybe were in Davos on the World Economic Forum. I was there this year and last year, and what I see when I meet industries is that they also see that they are dependent on water as much as energy. So we need to have a joint.
So we need to push it up the agenda so that it's taken more seriously.
Absolutely. Then, of course, we are using the European Investment Bank to actually catalyze some investments. We also need to scale up. To be honest, we have a lot of techniques and innovation in Europe that we should be proud of. We are proud of, but we need to scale them up. And here, of course, investments is key. And then we have to see the long perspective and give the travel of direction, which I think we do with the water resilience strategy. This is something that we need to invest in, and Europe has put it on high on the agenda.
Okay, so it's up to us, everyone. So because
I'm doing a lot of work when it comes to enforcement.
Right, but if we raise the awareness of this, I think is the point, that making more awareness of best practice, but also more awareness of the strategic importance, will filter through into the realization that this is actually an important investment area.
Yeah, I think that is one key part, of course. But then, as always in politics and everywhere, it's not like one silver bullet to do everything. Cleaning up water, of course, is really important, costs a lot of money, but it is necessary to do it because about people's health. So, well, we have a lot of things on the agenda.
Lots to do. Great. Thank you very much, Jessika Roswall.
Thank you.
Joining us.